In this video, you will learn how to land in one of the most complex civil airports around the world, which is Mexico City. Foreign airlines usually give special training to their pilots in order to operate this airport. Are you ready? Let's do it.
Landing checklist.
Landing checklist. Cabin crew.
Advance.
Out of thrust.
Off.
Out of brake.
Low.
ICA memo.
Landing no blue.
Landing checklist completed.
Gracias.
We will start reviewing the chart information to give us an idea what to expect on this approach. This is Mexico City Airport. It has two runways. There is no simultaneous instrument approach or departure because the distance is too short. Usually, we will expect strong wind conditions, unstable most of the time, especially right now. There is summertime. There is a huge cumulonimbus. You are taking off in runway 05 left if you are in the Terminal 1, and Terminal 2 usually use runway 05 right. The runway 05 left has elevation of 7,292 feet, which is a high altitude airport. No worries, during approach I will give you some tips about this airport. For the departure, we will go to the north, use the Arturo 2 Alpha. It's the easiest departure for coming back for the next approach. But we need to bear in mind that on the west side is one volcano, the Popocatépetl. That's why the MSA is so high, 19,400 feet on the south area. Sometimes it's active, so you need to pay attention when you are flying at this airport. On the west side is also like the Ajusco, it's also a very high mountain. That's why this kind of situation, the wind goes down and hits into the Mexico City airport and it's become very unstable. Usually on this area there is always thunderstorms, especially in all the areas are thunderstorms, especially here. So it is very interesting to go divert, and then it's very easy to get really high. The approach also doing the best to get you as fast as possible. During despressurization, this is a very sensitive topic. We won't go that deeply on this, but I just need you to tell you to bear in mind always the MSA, always the altitude, because this is what it makes so special Mexico City. So any situation you have at despressurization, it is best to go into the northeast area in order to keep as safe it as possible. I already prepared this so we don't waste time, but if you want to learn in any part of the world how you prepare the cockpit on the Airbus 320. By the way, if you want to level up your cockpit preparation, know deeper the systems, understand Airbus and their philosophy, I have a course of the Airbus 320. For now, it's on the beta stage. So it's as cheap as buying me a coffee per month. It's a monthly membership. You can cancel anytime. And now I will brief you the approach phase. So somewhere around here, we just go turn to the left and go straight to Daran. And then we will just do a straight in approach to see how can you manage the energy of the aircraft so you are going ahead of the ATC controller and you can slow down and going down as fast as possible. You can see on the notes, zone of possible path towards Almis. Almis is here. It's not always, but most of the times they will give you direct, and then you need to start to become a very busy inside the cockpit. But it's an RNAV approach, MSA 14,800 for this approach. No big deals because we will have GPS, and then we will transition to the ILS DME Yankee, runway 05 right. Okay, Mexico City, runway 05 right. From Yucatan, which is the initial approach fix, the last fix of the RNAV arrival, need to be maximum 210 knots and 12,500 feet. This is very important, speed and altitude. And then we will go GPS, Mike X-ray 960, maximum 185. So at this situation, we will be flaps 2 and speed 185, 180 knots at 10,000. Then the aircraft will do the left turn to the ILS. Before, the approach was way much shorter and it was very easy to be above the glide slope, and because it's a high altitude elevation, remember, compare with the sea level, you will be faster because the ground speed is faster, even though the indicated speed is the same. And we will perform the ILS with the DA7566, no problem. Misapproach, we will do something about that. We will climb on course 055 and then we will continue the GPS to the right. And then you can continue doing the ILS approach, or it depends on the ATC instructions. It's mandatory 8,900 on the final approach fix. Bear that in mind. And the visibility, 1.5 mile, vertical speed 800. This airport has no Cat 2, Cat 3 operations. Let's do the funny part. Let's fly. Okay, we will set the parking brake off. Set the power thrust 50%. Okay, we have it. And take off. Manual flex, theory, SRS, outer thrust low. And 100 knots check. V1 rotate. Okay, I'm 3 degrees per second until 15 degrees. Positive decline, you're up. Nav. Remember, we always want to know what the FMA is telling us. Above 100 feet, AP1, we can put the autopilot 1 at any time. That's why the briefing exists. I forgot to set the altitude. Usually the altitude is flight level 230. Lever climb, we will put the thrust levers to climb. Speed, vertical speed plus 3,300 feet. Thrust climb, open climb at blue. I just pull out the altitude. F speed is the lowest selectable speed, which we can retract the flaps. So from flaps 2, we will select flaps 1. Flaps 1. S speed is the lowest selectable speed. Might the slides be retracted? Usually you decide config 1, config 2, or config 3. Depends on your EFV, your iPad. You have a special application to depend on the weather situation. They will tell you which speeds you might put inside of the MCDU. F speed, flap 0. We'll select flap 0. Speed check, flap 0. Then we will select the spoilers, disarm. Check the landing gear is up. And the lights as required. Okay, and here we have some restrictions. We have the restriction 9,000 feet plus. It's in magenta, so we already complained with this constraint. But as you can see here on Mike X-Ray 802, there is the low 4,000 feet. And can you see why this constraint will not be respected by the airplane? That is because we have alt blue and the open climb. So if the ATC didn't tell us clear climb flight level 230, no restriction, we need to follow the SID. How can we follow the SID? Tell the airplane to do it. First, we can select on the FCU 14,000 and the airplane will stop climbing at 14,000. Or the more professional way is we will go to the FCU and we will push the altitude. If we push the altitude, now see what's changed on the FMA. Climb, alt magenta, 14,000 feet magenta. And now you can see that the airplane, it will respect the 14,000 feet. Speed 250 blue. So we select speed 250 to climb faster to see how the airplane will respect this constraint. If you push the FCU buttons, you are giving the airplane to fly depends of what it has on the MCDU, what you insert it. If they has no information, it won't change the alt magenta and it's gonna be also alt blue. Here it changed to flight level 230 because he already knows. We are already in Mike X-Ray 802 and we are below 14,000. So the airplane said like, hey, we want to reach it before 14,000 before Mike X-Ray 802. So we just continue climbing. And then we will continue climb flight level 230. And there is another restriction, my X-Ray 803 above 16,000. This is quite easy for the Airbus. Sometimes the Airbus might be a little bit high, and in this situation you need to think more and even using speed brakes or increase the speed. But for now, everything is fine. Everything smooth. As you can see, here in the north side of area there is no so many mountains. That's why the MSA is lower. but we are completely fine with this. So we will stop climbing to 17,000 feet. We will just put in the FCU 17,000. How you know without looking at the FCU? Because we already see the FMA. We are always looking at the FMA. It's very important that you always know what is going on this area, right? The golden rules: fly, navigate, communicate. That's the first of all the rules. You need to know, you need to be aware what is going on. Speed all start. That's why also you need to start speaking a lot on the Airbus, because again, you need to know what is going on. If you are as a PF pilot flying, you are not answering, the pilot monitoring will answer or will tell the callouts. If you don't tell the callouts, that means that will be pilot incapacitation. But for now, let's say we're just gonna go, in order to save some time, go to Mike X-ray 5756. We just go direct, Alt, and then we are 17,000 feet. What is very interesting is, like, for example, now we are on the north side of Mexico. We are almost on our descending point. Sometimes the RTC controller, because it's very busy, they will ask you to have a low speed, 220, 210, and then increase the rate of descent. And that's when it's become pretty interesting. For example, now we are planning to descend after Mike X-ray 5756, but sometimes they will say, okay, let's go direct to Almis and descend 14,000, reduce speed to 10 knots. And all these challenging, all these, they talk a lot with a lot of instructions in one sentence. That makes this airport such an interesting place to fly the aircraft. We are clear direct to Almis. Then descend 14,000. Okay, descend Almis 14,000. Here, I don't want to stay too high. So when they clear to descend us, it is good that we activate the approach phase, the first place. We'll activate the approach phase, like we set performance, this one, and then we will activate the approach phase. We will start, we will set manage speed. So when you are activate the approach phase and you set a manage speed mode. Manage speed is like pushing the speed selector on the FCU. Now the airplane is gonna target the green dot speed. And you already see, they display already the speed 136 magenta, which is the V approach speed. I will do it more interesting, and then I will wait a little bit so we need to start the descent pretty fast. Okay, let's say like we are now descend 14,000. So we select on the FCU. 14,000 feet blue. Thrust saddle, open descender blue. Now we are a little bit high. So in order to start descending, we can increase the speed brakes, these ones. So we will create the speed brakes, but see what happens with the VLS. The VLS is this yellow line that is here. So of course, there's a stop margin. This is a margin to protect yourself about stall the airplane. So we can do is first select the speed 210, speed 210 blue, and select flaps 1, speed check flaps 1. So now, when we are selecting flaps 1, now we can put the speed brakes halfway, which is the full way in the Airbus 320. Remember, Airbus 320 is the only airplane that if you put the speed brakes full, only gonna extend the half. The 319 and 321 doesn't affect this situation. So now, see, the VLS is now below 180. So there is no problem for us. And now we can descend quite fast. Let's retract it because now we are 1,000 feet above. And actually, we're pretty okay with the flight path. Now let's say that we can descend to 2,500 feet. So we will select 2,500 feet blue and speed 210 that is displayed here. That is the constraint, or also you can check on the charts. Of course, this is simulator and it's sky conditions clear. It's pretty easy, but especially during summertime, right in this phase of the approach is quite unstable. You are all the time bumping, and because it's a high elevation airport, you're gonna feel it. You're gonna feel way much more than if you are in a sea level airport. And the thunderstorms, you really don't want to get closer of the CBs because, again, they are pretty strong. They're stronger than if you are going into the sea level. We're 1,000 feet to go. After Yuk 10, we can descend to 10,000. We can do it both ways. We can do it with Alt Blue, or if we select 10,000 and push the FCU, descend Alt Blue. So now in descent mode, also the airplane will try to chase the green dot speed. See, now start to increasing the vertical speed, but the speed is increasing a lot, like nearby the flaps 1, that is maximum speed 230. Right now it's okay, but that's what you need to be aware. Like if you are not comfortable, we just use the speed brakes, and using the speed brakes, it should reduce the speed and we don't overspeed. That's why it's not that easy, right? Like you can give the controls to the airplane with the autopilot, but as a pilot, you need to speed brake retracted. We all the time we are like looking what is going on with the airplane. So this one, after 10,000, and we are on the profile, but now here it says speed 185. So we will reduce speed 185 blue, and see the airplane is continue chasing the yo-yo. So we will thrust idle open descent, right? So we'll activate LS. We should be activated before. And because now you see, like we are 1,000 feet, and we should be 10,000. The next point is below 9,300. So we will use the speed brakes now, watching out the vertical speed. And then below speed 200, flaps 2. Speed check, flaps 2. And with speed 185, we'll continue descent to 9,300 feet. 9,300 feet blue. Okay, and now we can activate the approach. How can we activate the approach? Speed brakes will retract it. We can activate it with this button, the approach. So, and we will set the autopilot 2. So we will have speed, glide slope, lock start, Cat 3 dual, AP1 plus 2. Wow. We do it perfectly. We do exactly how we need to do this approach. But now we need to set speed 160 because here in Mike X-Ray 962, we need to reduce speed 160. That's the perfect, like when lock star and glide slope star is at the same time. Of course, it's not the most important thing, and it takes too many time to develop these skills. But as long as you are stable at 1,000 feet, that is the most important thing ever, right? You don't want to gear down. You don't want to go or land on an unstable approach. Usually is when the accidents happen. But we didn't complain with the constraint 160, that's for sure. Manage speed. We already set the manage speed. Flaps 3, speed check, flaps 3, flaps full, speed check, flaps full. Okay, let's see if we are stable. Usually they ask you to be stable at 1,000 feet AGL, which here is 8,300 feet. Depends on the company, depends on the policy. How we know that we are stable, we are on the correct trajectory of the aircraft, only small changes, heading and altitude to continue with the desired flight path towards the approach, runway approach, and land in the touchdown zone. Here now we are in the B approach speed plus 5, so it's okay. We are stable, we're in the landing configuration, and here will be the landing checklist. Here is very easy when you disconnect the autopilot to be 3 whites and 1 red in the PAPI. Why? Because you can see right now we are 900 feet per minute. Usually during on sea level airports is 700 feet. Depends on the winds, but you and the weight, but usually 700 feet. And here is 200 feet more, 900 feet. So sometimes the people is really see like you disconnect the pilot and you go a little bit high, and you see like the 3 whites, 1 red, and then you need to chase him down. But you cannot go beyond 1,000 feet per minute. That was considered unstable approach. Not immediately, but more than 3 seconds, they will be considered unstable approach. So watch this out. Here, I will disconnect the autopilot. And see, I'm continue looking outside, but I'm also continue looking inside the flight directors. See, now, if we don't continue with the 900, 1,000 feet per minute, the aircraft is becoming very easy to get above land. See, and this here is very easy. See, 800 feet, 900 feet. It's very easy to get above if you put 700 feet, which is a normal. Okay, FlyPro Academy, go around. We will go around. Here we're below 50. You don't need to pull very hard the side stick. We are positive climb 1 step up, gear up, and then we follow the flight directors. When you are going around the low altitude, it's very important to don't overstretch yourself and start to pulling out really fast. And it's very important to say call out, go around flaps in order that the pilot monitoring knows that you are going go around. And now we put the thrust levers to climb, thrust climb, up a climb. Alt blue, flaps 1, speed check flaps 1. So the important thing here is on the low go around, you don't need to pull right away like very fast and suddenly, because it's gonna be, the airplane will feel that you are doing it too fast, and maybe they will display the alarm pitch, which is, it's very sensitive in low altitude because you can do the tail strike. I think recently one airline from South Korea happened with that with the 321 flap 0. The airplane do a go around because they do a bounce landing, and because they pulled very fast, they tail strike the airplane. So, okay, so now we are pretty much, the aircraft is doing the navigation part for us. Probably they're gonna give you during training, during the examination, they want you to show them the flight skills. So a really nice way to showing them how you are performing with that, it's by knowing your flight skills. Probably they're gonna put you GPS primarily lost, something that you need to use raw data. Like if you were flying a big, huge Cessna. That's what we're gonna do right now. Remember, we are now on the runway ILS Whiskey, runway 05 right. The airplane, after going around, it's just here, so we just turn to the right, and then doing the ILS approach. Everything raw data. We will use the autopilot because it's gonna be harder for me to explain more things if we don't have the autopilot on. But we just do the turn around the procedure, give you some tips for how not to get undershoot or overshoot. This is very important, right? Like because we don't have so many distance for getting the ILS approach. Okay, after we will set the rows to VOR, we will activate the approach phase, put the bird on, track Alt, and then turn to the right, direct to Mexico City VOR. Track 250 blue. FMGC, we will set Mexico VOR 1, track to 06. And the Mexico VOR 2, 55, which is the ILS. We just confirmed the ILS is 109.1, final approach course 5. The navigation is completely full by ourselves, like as same as you did it during your training on instrument approach. I'm just trying to go direct to the Mexico VOR, as same as the chart said. So we are 1,000, 8.9 miles. We're on the right path. So after the VOR, we will descend 9,700 feet until ADME, then turn to the right to do the ILS approach, runway 05 right. Okay, so now we are turning to the left to set the track to 06. After the VOR, we can descend to 9,700 feet. So we will display 9,700 feet. Altitude 9,700 feet blue. Thrust idle, open descent, alt blue. Okay, so we are almost on the radial 206. Yes, almost perfect. Yeah, a little bit to the left. So we track 205 blue. Okay, and now we are waiting for ADME. Sorry, 9,700 feet set. Here, in order to give us some time, especially when you don't know the airport or when you don't feel that comfortable, I will highly suggest you before the turn to have config 2 speed 180. Why? Because the slower the aircraft will give you more time if you overshooting or you need more. They give you more time, right? It's when you are driving. If you are 60 kilometers, it's easy to stop fast, right? But if you go to 100 kilometers, it's gonna be more difficult. So now we are in green dot speed. We select flaps 1, speed check flaps 1. We select speed 180 blue. Later on, you can start, when you start feeling more comfortable, you can do the turn with config 1 and trying to do it faster. But again, here we are learning. So the most important thing is to get the things, protect ourselves as much as we can. You can see we have this this protection that is like below 200 knots. We can select flaps 2, and this is the friendly reminder for the aircraft. So below this speed, anytime we can set flaps 2. Okay, flaps 2, speed check flaps 2. Okay, sorry guys, because I was explaining, I forgot completely to turn to the right. Okay, we just turn to the right. How we know which heading, which track we should fly? Well, the easiest thing to think about this, because in the chart there is no heading. The easiest thing is like here on the ND, we just try to put this arrow, which is 90 degrees to the right. We will put it on the localizer, okay? Or would you just do the maths? Whatever is easier for you. For me, it's easier to put it here. So this localizer is very sensitive. So probably 10 degrees here, 10 degrees before the turn, we just turn to the right to 45 degrees. More or less, yeah, now it's 10 degrees. We just turn to the right. Let's say heading 005 to see how it looks like. Now it's under wind calm, so it should be not a problem. We will reduce speed 160 in order to give us more time for this. Okay, we can do it a little bit more. Yeah, now it's CDI moving in. And yeah, I overshoot a lot. And now we can, 8 miles, we can descend 8,900 feet. 8,900 feet set to blue, check. Thrust idle, open descend at blue, gear down. Flaps 3, speed check flaps 3. And now we will do it glide slope from above, which means that we are below the glide slope for intercepting. So we will do manage speed. We will set above 1,2000. Remember that we don't want to overshoot again, so the track 05. For the flight angle, we just revert to vertical speed was 1,000. 2,000 feet, flaps 3, speed check, flaps 3, flaps full, speed check, flaps full. Okay, speed vertical speed minus 2,000. The track 057 blue. We're almost there. Okay, vertical speed minus 500 feet blue. We forgot to arm the approach, so we will arm the approach. GS star, lock star, just at 8,300 feet. We are stable now. Lock, perfect. Wow, it's really hard to teach and speak, guys. I'm really sorry about this. Okay, we're all set. We're stable above 1,000 feet. We have the runway inside. Let's fly the airplane. We just select the autopilot off. and then we will land. Remember again, as I told you, we just be aware and we don't want to go above. Just disregard. And we also don't want to go below, right? Land. So here, the flare, what I usually do different from landing from the sea level is that the thrust levers, we will set it a little bit above that 20 feet. It just depends on the approach. But usually here, 30 feet is perfect for landing. 30 thrust levers and do flare, and then touch down on the reverse spoilers, reverse green, diesel, and then controlling 80 knots. We just select the reverse idle. Oh yeah, that's it, guys. I'm really sorry about the last approach, was a mess, but I didn't want to repeat it because that's a very good example how you can manage the airplane and how can you revert your mistakes. It is very important you to practice a lot. This is only practice and practice that will give you this confidence to know what's going on, to know when you are above, when you reduce speed. I can give you some tips, but the most important thing that I want to show you in this video is that you need to practice a lot. Really grateful. Please, on the link description, I will leave you a link that you can subscribe to my newsletter. There's 10 emails, what I wish to know before flying this beautiful airplane. It's completely free and you can cancel anytime. And please, it will be such a great support if you tell me what you want to see, what areas I can improve in order to give you the best content possible. I will just start uploading more frequently on this channel, and I will be really glad you to be here with me. Until the next video, thank you very much, crew.